I believe that we are not destined to have a lifetime of pain. Now, if you asked me this question 10 years ago, I probably would have said, I'm going to be in pain the rest of my life. Why? Because that's what my life was like. When I was in my early 30s, of all things, I was bending over, getting ready, putting my underwear on, and I felt a jolt of pain in my back that practically dropped me to my knees. Within a day or two, I could barely get in or out of a car, trying to go to a chiropractor. Now, this was my first experience with pain, and it was devastating. It was shocking. I didn't know what to do with it. My doctor just gave me, some muscle relaxers, go home and relax. The bed rest just made things worse. The chiropractor, he didn't help me at all. It was extremely painful during the process, and I left feeling worse than I did going in. And that began 11 long years of pain. Now, I eventually found, actually pretty quickly, within about a year's time, I found Dr. Sarno. And if you're familiar with him, then you know a lot about what he does and what he has discovered about chronic pain. So with his information, I had some early success, but then the pain would come back. Then I would fix it again, and then it would come back. And then it would stay, and it would stay for a long time. And throughout these years, I had developed a real strong fear of the next major episode, when the next flare would be. I'm sure you can relate. And I'm sure you can also relate to the feeling of anxiety and just trepidation about, I better not move too fast, I better not bend down. I literally got to the point where my son was 3, 4, 5 years old during a lot of this, and I couldn't play with him. He'd want to jump up into my arms, and I have to tell him no. Couldn't really play ball with him. I couldn't do a lot of things throughout much of his life because of my back. I would struggle getting in and out of the couch, in and out of the car. Couldn't ride a bike. I couldn't do a lot of things. There was even one time when, at night getting ready for bed, I had a jolt of pain in my back so bad it dropped me to my knees, got into bed, and at 3 a.m. I woke up writhing in pain, sweating. My back was in such a spasm that I couldn't even breathe. I ended up falling back asleep, but in the morning, I was petrified. I couldn't even fathom trying to get out of bed. I was that afraid. And sure enough, when I tried to get out of bed, the pain hit me again. A wave of spasm that just dropped me to my knees, clutching onto the edge of the mattress. And I ended up working my way into the floor, got onto my back somehow, and that's where I stayed for 14 hours. I couldn't get off the floor. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't do anything. It was horrible. Every time I tried to move or try to get up, a wave of spasm would hit me, and it just kept me on the floor. Eventually, I got off the floor 14 hours later, got myself into bed, and it was at least 4 or 5 days before I was able to get out of bed easily and start resuming any resemblance of a good quality of life. And it wasn't that good. I was still petrified of the next episode of pain. And I assume you can relate to that because you're here on the site, you found me. Chronic pain is something that most people don't understand. They assume that you're making it up, you're lazy. I can't even tell you how many hours and hours and hours a day I used to lay flat on my back with my knees up, just letting my body sink into the floor and my back decompress. When I was at a corporate job, I would oftentimes shut the door and in my suit pants and shirt, lay on the floor in my office. So I went through a lot of years of that. I finally discovered Adam Heller and Zero Pain Now, and this process really took what Sarno figured out in the 70s and brought it to the current day. He improved on the process, simplified it, and systematized it so much, in fact, that I now knew exactly what I needed to do. And once I found this system, and I trusted the system in its simplicity, and don't let the simplicity fool you, that's the strength, is that there's no doubt what you need to do. This Zero Pain Now process finally allowed me to beat the pain, get my pain down to a 0 level out of 10, whereas before it was always hovering between a 2 and a 6 or 7 throughout those 11 years. And it finally allowed me to have a tool that I could go to anytime I felt a twinge. So if I would wake up and my back would be a little bit sore, I knew exactly what I needed to do to knock that pain out quickly. All right, so where does this leave me today? I've been pain-free for about 6 years, give or take. And at this point, I don't feel I've got any physical restrictions whatsoever. I can go rock climbing. I've ridden motorcycles, dirt bikes, street bikes, can ride bicycles, I can run, as you saw in the beginning of this clip. You know, there's really not much I can't do. I've actually moved 4 times in the past 2 or 3 years. I can play golf without having to worry about, you know, being laid up in bed for 3 days after trying to play a round of golf. Can actually carry my bag over a hilly course, walking 4 miles, come home and not have any problems. During my good years, when I had like some down times when the pain wasn't so bad and I golfed, I would hurt for 2 or 3 days after playing. Now I have no problems at all. I used to have to come home and lay in bed for hours after a round of golf. Now I can just go, come home, everything's fine. So I can tell you that it's really incredible to feel like you can do anything. When I said I moved 4 times in 3 years, literally, me and my son moved the entire house 4 times in 3 years. We didn't hire movers, we didn't do anything. We literally lugged everything in and out of these homes and apartments by ourselves. And you would think that somebody who suffered 11 years of back pain, that would be suicide. That would be so dangerous and not a good idea. Didn't matter. I wasn't even afraid of it. So that's what's possible for you. You can really get to the point where you get your life back. You actually can get your life back and do the things that you used to do before pain took over your life. So check out the rest of the site. Watch the other videos in the Start Here menu up above. Check it out. Keep your mind open. Don't play the skeptic. Look for all the reasons why this is exactly what's going on in your life, and you can get pain-free as well. So I'll talk to you soon.